to our presentation on navigating AI threats and security. AI adoption is surging. Security guidance is really fragmented, and many people aren't sure what really is different about securing AI. That is why we're excited to speak to you about OWASP GenAI Security Project's AI Threat Defense Compass, which was created to help you as you adventure into this wild new territory. A little bit about me. I'm Sandy Dunn. I have over 20 years of experience at organizations like Micron PC, HP, Blue Cross of Idaho, a number of different startups, and I'm also a board member. Currently, I'm the CISO at SPLX. I'm also a core contributor to the OWASP GenAI Security Project. And in my spare time, I'm an adjunct professor at BSU.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sabrina Kaplis, and I work as an AI governance and security consultant with Rock Cyber. I serve on the boards of ISSA and ISACA Denver. I also serve as a curator for the Boulder Hub of the Global Shapers community in partnership with the World Economic Forum, and I'm a contributor to the OWASP GenAI Security Project.
Sabrina and I eat, drink, and breathe AI security in our work with the OWASP GenAI project and in our day-to-day jobs. I'm the CISO at SPLX, where we provide end-to-end AI security, which includes AI asset management, guardrails, and automated red teaming.
Over at Rock Cyber, we serve as a strategic advisory firm, offering AI, security, compliance, and business continuity services. Our AI vertical includes AI strategy and governance, AI risk assessments, and a virtual AI officer service.
The challenge organizations are facing is not only the fast deployment of AI, but escalating cyber attacks. The global cost of cybercrime is expected to surge in the next 4 years, rising to over $9 trillion in 2025 and almost $14 trillion by 2028. 47% of organizations have experienced a deepfake attack, with a nearly 20% increase in just the first quarter of 2025. According to the data from the FTC, total fraud losses jumped over 20%, with consumers reporting losing more than $12.5 billion to fraud in 2024. One of the most troubling and difficult challenges are supply chain attacks, with companies like CrowdStrike being victims in just the last few weeks. There has been over a 156% increase in malicious packages in just the last year and a 13,000 increase since 2020.
It is clear that cyber threats are evolving. And because generative tools automate the grunt work, the attack volume and speed have spiked. What used to take days now happens in mere minutes.
Which is why leaders should care. The blast radius grows fast. Faster data exposure, faster fraud, less time to respond.
And most companies don't have AI-specific controls yet. No guardrails around prompts, models, or RAG flows. So those gaps are wide open.
So the mandate is simple. Treat AI as its own risk domain, not as a bolt-on to your existing controls.
Do that now, and you avoid becoming part of the unprepared majority when these AI-driven incidents hit.
Oh, did it again. And people face harm, not only from adversaries, but from bad AI systems, where there's a lack of transparency and unverifiable workflows. In a story published September 16th, Roland Barris, an investigative reporter here in Idaho, received a toll bill from California. He knew immediately it was incorrect. He hadn't been to California in years. He contacted the company who sent him the bill and both the DMVs in California and Idaho. All three of them provided conflicting information and no good way to resolve the issue. This is a pretty tame example and a really simple workflow. You take a photo, match the owner of a registered vehicle, send the bill. But if we don't have AI trust and transparency in this simple workflow, how ready do you feel for agentic AI systems?
By the time we're done today, you'll recognize AI's novel risks and be able to frame the full frontier attack surface, including models, RAG, tools and agents, data flows, and egress. You will know how to hit the Goldilocks zone, which is where right-sized controls reduce high risks without stalling delivery. Finally, we will introduce you to the OWASP AI Threat Defense Compass. This can help you orient, prioritize, and execute your AI security program. As part of that, we will walk you through an example use case so you can apply Compass directly to your environment.
Thinking about securing complex AI
Sandy,
systems.
I think we
Did
skipped
it do
slide.
it again?
Yeah. Here we
Okay,
go.
you're right.
AI has been all the rage for a while, not just in security, but in business overall. It's become a buzzword that many have inflated and misrepresented. A consequence that I've witnessed has been a sort of cynicism toward AI, which can minimize the threats that it poses. For example, at a recent security event, I was chatting with someone who had said that managing AI risk is nothing more than just same old cybersecurity. While I completely agree that not having the basics in place makes AI magnify your existing security gaps, and that best practices is best practices regardless of what technology you're using, AI still brings with it new threats and considerations that companies need to pay attention to. What do you think, Sandy?
Yeah, it's really about carefully navigating this new frontier, reinforcing a solid foundation such as identity and data hygiene and least privilege, and recognizing what is new and different, such as prompt injection, non-human identities, and trying to protect RAG databases.
All great points. Organizations are adopting AI fast because the benefits are big. But with that comes unique challenges. It is clear how important it is to know the threats of AI and where it can safely help before you scale.
Thinking about securing complex AI systems is pretty daunting when you consider how complex they are. And when you think about something that's really simple, like an AirTag, has been misused to cause unexpected harm and part of a murder plot in extreme cases. Security capabilities many times are dual use, creating unintended consequences. Dual benefits and potential misuse or harm really scale together.
Now, what you first have to think about is your deployment type. We've all worked with the cloud shared responsibility model. AI follows the same logic. And the very first move is to identify your deployment type, where the model lives and who controls it. Your security controls then depend on that choice. For example, if a vendor-hosted model like ChatGPT is hit with model poisoning, your options are different than if your own model is hit. And even if an incident occurs at the vendor, you still carry material risk. But your primary controls might be contractual or legal-based and not purely technical. So think of a spectrum. Vendor-managed AI is on one end, meaning lower visibility and control, while enterprise-controlled AI is on the other, which entails more visibility and that much more responsibility. The key is to draw your control boundary first, then tailor the guardrails to match it. I wanted to take a moment just to share a resource with you. There are a number of shared responsibility matrices out there, but this one by Mike Privet is a great example. It clearly lays out AI deployment types, for example, SaaS, PaaS, on-prem, agentic, and others, in alignment with various security domains, including AppSec, AI ethics, agent governance, and many others. It is hosted on his GitHub along with some other great resources.
The attacks you need to think about can be similar, but are often different at each layer of a GenAI application. Examples of the type of attacks at the user layer include code execution, manipulation, web injection, cross-site scripting, privacy attacks, and session hijacking. At the system layer, you might see system prompt stealing, context leakage, manipulation, insecure plugin design, DDoS attacks, and credential theft. Attacks at the model layer include model stealing, data poisoning, model poisoning, and hidden backdoor activation. It can be overwhelming, but we're all familiar with these types of threat risk trade-offs in cybersecurity and in our daily lives. As the old saying goes, how do you keep a user completely safe on the internet? You shut off their computer. The best way to think about it is as a system with foundational security controls and with good monitoring and visibility and planned resilience built into your strategy. You're trying to find what we call the Goldilocks zone, protecting your AI systems, which is a combination of legacy controls, adapting to what is different about testing and protecting AI security with active monitoring, so you immediately know if your system has a critical issue. An example we had here at SPLX is a customer who wanted to test if someone could access another user's bot conversation. Generative AI applications are non-deterministic, which means you can get a different answer even if you use the same prompt. In a traditional security, when we did testing, we knew what to expect, and the outcome was either a pass or a fail. When you're testing generative AI applications, it may pass on the first, second, and then fail on the 10th test. In this test example for our customer at SPLX, the chatbot failed on the 200th request. You probably don't have the time or resources to test every abuse case 200 times, but it does need to become part of your strategy. How many times should you test each prompt to determine if it's safe and secure?
Now let's dive into Compass. Compass is a practical resource, both a methodology and a tool built to help executives, security teams, and compliance professionals navigate the sprawling AI threat landscape. It follows the OODA loop: observe, orient, decide, act. So teams can orient themselves to the threat quickly, model their attack surface, identify their priorities, develop a red team strategy, and communicate results to the executive team. The QR code for the workbook is listed here. Please click on the Compass Runbook link in the description to access the step-by-step guide. The Compass playbook includes organizational and threat profiles so you can tailor your AI security priorities. Using the external adversary profile, you can evaluate defenses from external attacks. Using the deployer profile, you can evaluate internal use of AI models, whether developed in-house or developed third-party. Finally, while outside of the scope of Compass, there is some information shared about the model provider profile. To better demonstrate Compass, we're going to walk through a rollout of an enterprise version of Copilot. First, we are going to observe. What do we know now? Second, we are going to orient, using tools to gather information to figure out what we need to know but don't know yet. Then, based on that information, we are going to decide what to do. Finally, we act, meaning we create a strategy and timeline, then assign owners and objectives. Compass isn't just another checklist. It's a way to think systematically about AI threats while keeping business goals front and center. We always start with the business objective. That ensures AI risk management supports what the organization is really trying to achieve, like boosting productivity, protecting sensitive data, or enabling innovation. If we don't anchor to business outcomes, we risk spending effort securing the wrong things. From there, we organize risks by threat profile. Compass doesn't lump everything together. It breaks risks down into categories like external adversaries, internal adoption issues, or agentic projects. That way, security teams see where vulnerabilities are most relevant for their environment. Next, we define nuclear disaster scenarios, meaning the absolute worst-day outcomes. These aren't just technical problems. They're events that could cripple the business, be it massive data leaks, manipulated decisions, financial fraud, or even regulatory fines. Naming these explicitly helps leadership see why AI security matters at the enterprise level, not just the IT level. Then, we estimate the potential impact, both the low end if we get lucky, and the high end if everything breaks at once. It doesn't have to be exact. The point is to give decision makers a realistic sense of scale and urgency. Finally, Compass ties everything back to business objectives. Every decision about which risks to mitigate, defer, or accept is made in the context of the organization's priorities. And importantly, this is an ongoing cycle, not a one-time workshop. Compass follows the OODA loop so teams can continuously adapt alongside AI systems. So, when we use Compass, the outcome isn't just a list of threats. It's a living strategy that helps align AI security with business resilience.
Using Profile 2B in the Compass playbook for things you need to think about for a rollout of Microsoft Copilot, such as sensitivity labeling gaps, risky default settings, and application and content spread. So in the workbook, there's a list of profiles, and in those profiles, there's a list of things that you would want to consider. Now, it's pretty comprehensive. You probably don't want to try and address everything, but pick your top priorities. Take a step back and then think about those absolute worst incident scenarios that could happen in your organization. Capturing 2 or 3 of what we're calling the nuclear disaster scenarios will help you focus on what you absolutely need to prevent. Researching and capturing the known threats and impacts will help you defend against the pressure to move fast and just enable the features. Being strategic in your AI deployment will help you meet both goals of preventing an incident and enabling your organization to use AI-enabled systems to accelerate their business objectives. In the Compass workbook, the Observe Objective Dashboard tab is where you keep the up-to-date status of the business objective. In this case, the rollout of Microsoft Copilot. There are 2 tabs in the Compass workbook for tracking threats. Tab 2, Observe Objective Dashboard, and Tab 2A, Observe Objective Threat Profile. 2A is meant for your more granular and detailed information. You'll want to add the issues you listed from those objective threat profiles into Tab 2B. You just add it by adding rows. Notice that it's using that 5-point system. Now, when you're rating these, you're using your 5-point system to assign the criticality of the threat. Again, it doesn't have to be exact. If you're not sure, you probably want to assume it's worse than it is and then lower as you lower the impact to your organization as you convince yourself it's not as threatening as you initially thought it was. Tab 2B is where you estimate the appropriate dollar values for each of your ratings for your organizations. There's example information in the tab, but it's important to update this information so it applies to your organization. For a very large organization, an impact loss of $1 million might be a minor incident. And for a smaller business, it might be catastrophic. These numbers, again, aren't expected to be perfect or exact. but give yourself some numbers to use as guidelines and improve the precision with more information and more iterations. Lower on the tab is where you describe the nuclear disaster scenarios. Estimating these costs will help you quantify requests for control investment or adjust your roadmap until additional controls are implemented. Tab 3B, Orient Known Incidents, includes examples of known AI incidents and their costs. Use this information to estimate potential incident costs. There are examples included in the tab, but since new incidents and regulatory changes happen daily, it will be useful to use the links included to the other AI incident databases and to the regulatory changes to find the most up-to-date information. One of the most frequently referenced chatbot incidents is when an Air Canada chatbot misinformed a user, a flyer, about a discount for bereavement. But looking at the actual data, the misinformed information, the cost to Air Canada was really just $812 plus court costs, which is really a very low impact cost when you consider the overall money Air Canada saved just using a chatbot. So having this information, the known incidents and the impact cost, will make sure that you're informing your organization with the right trade-offs for risks and threats. In the bottom part of this tab, there are links to threat reports from OpenAI, Anthropic. There's also a number of links to AI incident databases, as well as links to pages that track ongoing legal and regulatory changes in the different cases that are happening. Compass also includes reference tabs for defenses and mitigations, things that you want to improve in your incident response to be ready for AI, third-party assessment questionnaire questions that you should include to update your third-party assessments, as well as guidance on what to monitor within your logs for your AI infrastructure.
Before we wrap, we want to leave you with 3 reflections that tie today together. First, the risk landscape is shifting faster than most organizations can adapt. Attackers now have automation on their side, but so do you. The organizations that will thrive are the ones that move from a reactive posture to building repeatable, adaptive practices for AI security. Second, leadership attention matters. AI incidents are not just technical glitches. They ripple out into brand damage, financial loss, and regulatory exposure. If your board isn't asking about AI risk yet, they will. Position yourself now to answer with clarity. Third, security is not about locking AI down. It's about enabling it safely. The real opportunity lies in building trust. When employees, customers, and regulators see that your organization deploys AI responsibly, you don't just have to avoid disasters. You gain a competitive edge. That's why tools like Compass exist, not as a static checklist, but as a way to keep security aligned with business priorities, to keep risks visible before they become headlines, and to give your teams a shared language for navigating the frontier. So as you leave today, our challenge to you is this. Don't wait for the perfect standard, the perfect tool, or the perfect control set. Start with what you have. Adapt it for AI and build from there. The unprepared majority will be scrambling when the next wave of AI-driven attacks hit. You have the chance to be in the prepared minority. Thank you for your time and engagement today. We hope Compass gives you not just a framework, but the confidence to chart your own path forward.